Good morning. My name is Andy from the Met Office. Info from Sansa will be given the second part of this brief presentation. So, at the moment we have the solar disk, two negative corona holes, 43 and 44, giving some impact on the solar wind conditions at Earth. One weak sunspot group on the disk, 2689, we've classified this morning as beta CAO, so quite a weak sunspot group and unlikely to give significant flares. During the last 24 hours, there's one B-class flare, is all we've had. And you can see a positive corona hole 44 coming around the eastern limb, likely to give possible impacts at Earth, perhaps at the end, into the start of next week. So just comparing this corona hole 43, as it came around on Friday at the centre of the disk, it was slightly larger than on the previous rotation, which suggests to us that it would give slightly higher solar wind speeds than on the previous rotation. So as a forecasting unit, we sort of compare the 27-day persistence for corona holes. It's perhaps one of the best indicators for the likely space weather we're going to get. And also when this corona hole went through the stereo A satellite, you can see solar wind speeds slightly elevated above the previous rotation, peaking at about 500 kilometers per second. And solar wind persistence, quite good correlation in the previous few days, but I've had to draw this line on. This data is 24 hours old, so I've had to draw this line on, just indicating what has happened to the solar wind over the past 24 days. So it's rising above the previous rotation. And you can see on the solar wind data for the last 24 hours, we have peaks here about 475, 480, possibly indicating the influence of one, possibly two corona holes, possibly for 43 and 44. But some uncertainty there. There's some increase in density followed by transition to a high-speed stream, increase in density followed by transition to a high-speed stream. So possible indication of two CIR, two interactive regions followed by high-speed streams. So looking at the KP over the cycle, on the previous cycle, I think we had KP values, perhaps 2 or 3 here. So we might be expecting slightly higher values simply from the elevated solar wind speed stream. So the possibility of getting active periods and a low risk of minor geomagnetic storms on the current forecast. We've also, on the 25th, there was this week, CME came off the northeast sector. Possibility of a partial halo. We can see a sort of light bulb shape coming out on the east lobe here, but if you draw it back, there's a possibility of a partial halo, but it's quite weak. So quite low confidence, and we wouldn't expect a tremendous amount from this. But we carried out an analysis, put it into the into the CCMC scoreboard here. Quite low confidence. ROB again low confidence. Time of arrival sometime around 0300 on the 29th. Various parameters in here, and the average comes out about 1800 on the 28th, but again with low confidence of actually seeing anything at Earth. So we put our parameters into WSA Enlil, indicates a likely BIS based on this data. So we have parameters north 9, east 48, half angle 34 degrees, and a velocity of 391 kilometers per second, which is pretty close to the background solar wind speed anyway. And we run the NLIL, WSA NLIL as ensemble mode as well. Gives quite a wide spread really. The green line is the forecast, but there's sort of quite a big difference. If you just change those parameters slightly, it may bring the CME to impact at Earth. So overall, geomagnetic forecast for this week, we're going for low probabilities of G1, G2 geomagnetic storms, so perhaps on the 29th, 20% risk of getting G1. Other parameters, M-class flares only 1 to 5%, S-class 1%, protons likely to be 1% as well. And now I'll hand over to M-Pro.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm just going to give the brief forecast for the geomagnetic and ionospheric forecast over South Africa. The Hermanus K-index, over the last 24 hours, we can see it was mostly quiet to unsettled, with K-index between 1 and 3. And then we also have the H component of the Hermanus K magnetic field, and then it was decreasing here the past 2 days from 10,670 nanoteslas to about 10,640. So it's quite a small decrease. And then from what Andres was saying, we expect to have, we forecast to have unsettled to active geomagnetic conditions. Usually the Hermanus is in a mid-latitude area, so we expect a little bit less compared to the global KP index. So we might get a K index of 4 with a chance of K index of 5. And I've just also presented here the planetary K index observed over the last 24 hours, the maximum KP index of 4 observed because of this increase of solar wind speed, high-speed stream from Corona hole, probably 43. So we expect the solar wind increase to elevate later today, tomorrow, and then we'll increase the disturbance of geomagnetic activity over the region of Hermanus. And then we have our current ionospheric conditions. Here, this is our current F0 F2 data this morning. This is UT time. And then in megahertz, it's about 5.75 for Grahamstown, and for Hermanus, 5.62. And then this is the associated T-index. It's an ionospheric T-index developed from Australian Space Weather Center. It gives us the indication of how disturbed the ionosphere is on the edge of propagation conditions. So looking at this and knowing that our geomagnetic activity level is going to be only active, unsettled to active, so we expect the local propagation conditions to be stable. And then this is just the critical frequency of the F2 layer for the past 24 hours for Hermanus and Grahamstown. And then this is our predicted T-index for the month of November. And then as compared to that, usually the threshold is plus or minus 20. It's within the quiet conditions. So this is slightly elevated frequencies. Thank you.
Okay, I guess we have to move. We have to stop here, I guess, and we have to move to the rooms for the different sessions. Thank you again to Met Office and SANSA for this live presentation.
Mutta sitten se kakkosessa.
Joo, vaikka. Joo, mä tuun tänne. Joo.
Good to see you. How are you?